Alright, welcome back. We're going to talk about making basic shapes with the shape tool and the selection tool. And we'll also be learning how to make actual selections of whatever we make. And we will also be talking about layers. So selecting and merging layers and hiding layers, and then also grouping them as well. Okay, let's begin. So there are two ways to make your shapes. You can use your Marquee tool. Okay, so there, it's right up here. If you right click it, or if you click and hold, you can see that there are 4 types: rectangular, elliptical, and then single row, and then single column. You can use any of these. Or you can also use the lasso tool. There's the polygonal lasso and the magnetic lasso, which is only useful if you already have an image down and you want the lasso tool to latch onto specific areas where there's contrast, where it tries to like differentiate the objects, and it automatically latches onto lines to help you with selecting certain objects. And then there is also these shape tools. Okay, so you get rectangle, then you get ellipse, and then you get triangle, polygon, line, and then a custom shape. Alright, so the first shape that I'm gonna make, I'll just make a simple rectangle. Okay, so you can select it, you can select rectangular Marquee tool, and then you can click and drag to create this selection of rectangle. Okay, and we're gonna make a new layer for this. So layers are basically, you can treat them like separate objects, or you can just treat them like layers, like the name suggests. In this case, we're gonna make a new layer, and we're gonna treat it like one object. Okay, so let's choose the paint bucket tool. Okay, and feel free to follow along as you're watching this. I recommend it. It's always better to be hands-on. Okay, I chose the color red. Okay, so you can just simply click on this color and choose any color. Okay, so you can choose any of these colors, and also the shade of it too. So I chose red, or you can also choose it from here too. Okay. All right. So I'm simply gonna click, and it'll create this rectangular shape wherever it's selected, right? And then you can just click anywhere to unselect, to deselect. Okay, I'm gonna make another one here, and I'm gonna do a black one, a black rectangle. Okay, and I'm gonna use the paint bucket tool to fill. Okay, so that's what I did. I'm just gonna deselect. And so these two shapes are on one layer right here. You can this is like the thumbnail for the layer, and you can see 2 objects here, right? So what does that mean? It means that they're gonna move together. This is one layer. They're moving together. Okay? So let's try to make them on separate layers. Okay? So I'm just gonna do Control Z, which is undo. You can also just go edit and then undo paint bucket, but Control Z is a lot quicker. So Control Z is probably one of the most commonly used keyboard shortcuts. So so remember that one, Control Z. Okay, so I'm just gonna press Control Z again to go back. Okay, then I'm gonna select the Marquee tool again. Let's try an elliptical Marquee tool, and then here I'm gonna make a new layer. So that's basically a new object. And then I'm gonna make an ellipse, and then I'm gonna select the paint bucket tool, and fill it in. Okay, and I'm just gonna deselect, and now they're on two different layers. They're two different objects. Okay. All right. So let's explore the shape tool. Oh, by the way, you can also use the move tool right up here to move these objects around. So you don't have to like measure everything or like know the location of these beforehand. You can just move them at any time. Okay, so the move tool is up there, and yeah, so let's put them side by side for now. I'm going to choose the triangle tool. Okay, so with the shape tool, you can have fills and strokes, and you can also select the width of the stroke. So the stroke is basically the outer contour line, the outer edge of the shape, and the fill is the inside color. So I'll show you an example. Okay, so stroke, I'm gonna do a red, red fill, and then I'm gonna do for the stroke. Maybe I'll choose, okay, just black for this. Okay, and then maybe I'll make it like a 30. You can type in how thick it's gonna get, maybe like 20 pixels, like that. Okay, and I'm just gonna make a shape like right here. If you hold down Shift, you can make a perfect triangle, an equilateral triangle, because the Shift button keeps things in proportion in Photoshop. That applies to like every line, every shape, and every marquee tool or whatever that you want to use. The Shift button will keep the sides even so that you can make a perfect shape. Okay, and I'm just going to release it, and that's what I get. So I get a triangle with a black 20 pixel thick stroke and a red fill. Okay, and then the good thing about these shape tools is that you can actually change the colors after they're done, because these shapes are not they're not bitmaps yet. They're not rasterized shapes yet. We're gonna get into raster and vector later on, but these are vector shapes, which means this is not pixel information. This is just coordinates. They're simply coordinates that Photoshop uses to know where the shape lands. So you can change the color of the stroke after the fact. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it like blue. Okay, and now it's blue, and you can make it red. Okay, it's red now, so I'll make it like just black right there. Okay, all of that is possible. Alright, I just realized that my mouse click isn't showing this red wave, so I just turned it on. But, okay, I'm gonna move this up right here. Alright, let's try a different tool. Okay, let's try the polygon tool. Okay, so here we can actually change the number of sides that the polygon has. Let's do 8 to make an octagon. Okay, it's right up here. Okay, and then just press enter. Yep, and then you just make an octagon. Okay, and then I'm gonna change the stroke color to like, maybe I'll do like yellow. Okay, and then the fill will be like, I don't know, this type of blue. Okay, you can make all kinds of shapes with the shape tool and the marquee tool. So practice using these. Alright, so now we have some shapes, right? So let's use the same selection tools to modify, to manipulate these shapes. let's try this. Let's try the lasso tool. Okay, so the lasso tool, you can actually select. You can actually like select a freeform like area and manipulate it. So again, let's look at our layers. So this layer is this one right here, right? And this one is this triangle. And then layer 2 is this one, okay? And then layer 1 is this right here, okay? A way to check is just simply by clicking on this eye, and you can also make it disappear. So that's how you hide layers, okay? So you can toggle them on and off, and as usual, you can move them in any way, okay, like this. Let's all bunch them up together, okay? This octagon is on the top because this polygon, this octagon that we have right here, is on the top of our list. So basically, these layers are arranged, they're arranged like top to bottom, okay? So this one is on the very top. So if I hide this, it goes away, right? And then triangle. This one is right under the octagon, okay? And then layer 2, our ellipse is under both of these. So it ends up being under both of them here as well. And then layer 1, this is our rectangle. Our rectangle is under all of it. Okay, so I'm gonna move this up and see what happens. It moves up on the layers, right? And then you can change the location. All right, so like you can move it up, you can move it down. You can do all of that after making these shapes. All right, let's manipulate this one using the lasso tool. Okay, so you can right click it, and then you can right click on this and then select that lasso tool, or you can select polygonal tool, magnetic. Magnetic, not really useful in this case. Let's try lasso and polygonal. Okay, so lasso, make sure your layer is selected, the right layer. If I select the wrong layer, okay, I'm gonna select this rectangle and try to select this area. It's not actually selected because this layer is selected and there's no overlap, right? If I do this, yeah, I'm selecting parts of the rectangle, but if I want to manipulate this one, I have to select this, and then I'll simply do something like this. I'm gonna press delete. Okay, I press delete, and now a section is deleted. Okay, let's go back, Control Z. Let's do this. Let's use the paint bucket tool, and I'm gonna choose like a green. Okay, and I'm gonna do a fill. All right, and all I did was I used the paint bucket tool to paint just this area, and the lasso tool, you can make some wild shapes, something like this. Okay, and then I'll select yellow, and then okay, paint bucket. All right. So that's one of the ways that you can use the lasso tool to make or manipulate whatever shape. And let's try this one. Let's use the lasso tool to make this shape, okay? And then I will make a new layer, okay? So this is on a completely different layer. It's not on the same layer as the other objects. In fact, I'll just turn all of them off just to isolate it. And then I'm gonna choose this color, maybe a pink, okay? And then I'm gonna use the paint bucket tool to fill in this shape. All right, and I'm gonna deselect, and that's what I get. Okay, and then I can turn the rest on. Okay. All right, so we covered using the shape tool, selection tool, and the selection tools are Marquee and then lasso and then polygonal. And then we also covered selecting layers and hiding layers. Now we just need to go over merging layers. Okay, so merging layers. Why would you want to merge layers? Well, maybe you want all of these shapes to be grouped up on the same layer, so that when you move one shape, all of them move, right? So in that case, what you want to do is you want to click on a layer, okay, and then you want to press shift, and then click on all the layers that you want to merge. It doesn't have to be shift, it can be control. So if you press control, you're selecting individual ones. So if I press control and click on layer 3 after click on layer 1, I'm selecting just these two. Whereas if I select layer 1 and then press shift and then click layer 3, I'm selecting all three in between. This, and everything in between as well. Okay, that is just it's a common Windows and Mac function, and it transfers over to Photoshop as well. So I'm going to select layer 1 and layer 3, and I will right click, and then I will merge layers. And now you can tell one layer is gone, and now these two shapes are on the same layer. So now they're on the same layer. Okay, so that's how you merge layers. And lastly, to group the layers, maybe you don't want to merge them, but you want them to be grouped up in your layers menu. Then let's do this. You can select, so I'm gonna group up these two shapes that I made using the shape tool. Okay, so I'm gonna select this one and press shift or control. Okay, and then I will click on this folder. This is the create group button. So I click on this. Okay, and then I get group 1 with two shapes in it. Okay, that way they stay separate. Okay, they stay separate, right? But they can be toggled on and off together. And I will make another group for these two. Okay, and this is the second group. So now they remain separate. Well, these two are together. Okay, and then this is separate, and then I can actually toggle them off all at once. Alright, so play around with what you just learned. Make a new document and put down these shapes and just experiment with the Marquee tool and the lasso tool and the shape tool. Okay, and also you now know how to select your color. Okay, and also for the shape tool, you now know how to select a color for the fill and the stroke and the width of the stroke too. Play around with these settings. Okay, you can also do like a dotted line, and you can also do a smaller dotted line like that. Okay, and play around with layers, familiarize yourself with these very important functions.